Hey everybody, this is Kyle with containergrowing.org, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about how to make a microbe and worm tea. And we'll start with what is a worm tea. And basically a worm tea is a liquid brew from worm castings. And what happens is when you end up brewing this, instead of putting it directly in the soil, you increase the microbe count inside of this tea by the billions. So it's basically going to be almost, in a sense, a live fertilizer, and your plants are going to love this stuff. You can also use this as a foliar feed, and it has a specific type of enzyme that gets created that bugs do not like. So it's a great organic pest repellent also for your plants. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to have our base, which is our earthworm castings, and you can get these off of anywhere online, but I specifically really like Organic Worm Farm. You can get them on eBay from them, or you can go to their website, organicwormfarm.com. And they basically, the reason they stand out is because they ship their actual worm castings in a burlap bag that's breathable. A lot of other sellers ship their bags in something that is completely sealed up, which actually ends up killing a lot of the live content inside of the castings. Another thing is that these guys actually feed their worms not food scraps and manure and newspaper. They're fed a specific protein-rich diet, and they're raised in a controlled environment. Okay, we're aerating our water right now. So the next thing we're going to do is, and like I said before, you can just take these worm castings if you'd like, and you can use about, you can use anywhere from about a cup to 2 cups per 5-gallon bucket. So I'm just going to give it just a visualization of how much I should put in there. So about a tiny little cup like this. I'm just going to sprinkle them in here instead of actually putting it inside of a sack. So they're going to float to the top, okay, and you can stir it around with anything you'd like. I can grab a pencil real quick. Alright, so you're just going to stir those worm castings right into the water. And they'll get saturated, and some of them will sink to the bottom. And the reason we aerate this is, as I was saying before, it increases the microbe count, and eventually you'll get foam on top of the water, which is good. It's good news if you have foam on top. It means that the actual tea is turning out really well. It's a bunch of amino acids and proteins on the top, so as you can see, just stirring it in, kind of soaks to the bottom and such. You can already see it start to get a little bit frothy on top. Now we're going to add a little bit of molasses, just as food, so I'm just going to give it a little dab of molasses. You need unsulfured molasses. It's very important you get unsulfured. This is going to give our microbes and our beneficial bacteria a little bit of food, along with a little bit of fish bone meal. Okay, and I have right here a little bit of soluble seaweed powder. It's Norwegian seaweed. I'm just going to sprinkle a little dab in there, just like that. And the scoop I used for this bucket might have been a little concentrated, but that's alright, because what we can do is when we add this to our watering bucket, we can reduce it with some more pond water if we want, or RO water, or rainwater. So we can make this bucket stretch a little bit longer. So we got all of our stuff added in, and it's bubbling around and brewing right now. So now we're going to let this sit for 24 hours. 24 to 48 hours you can let it sit for and brew up. And then after that's done, we're going to pull these hoses out. And you can either, if you want, run this through a cheesecloth if you don't want the goodies in there, or you can actually just go ahead and put it all in your watering can and water your crop with it. If you're going to foliar feed, I suggest running it through a cheesecloth. or a burlap bag to get all the particles out so it doesn't clog the spray nozzle on it. So essentially what the aeration does inside of the water is it extends the amount of time that we can extract all the goodies out of the worm castings, and it's also to avoid anaerobic conditions, which can end up being toxic to your plants and create a bunch of nasty stuff that you do not want. It essentially becomes some very, very nasty worm tea. The great thing about this tea is it's going to contain a bunch of really good mineralized nutrients and microorganisms. Also, the chitneys that the actual worm castings create, when you use as a foliar feed, it acts as an insect repellent, and bugs do not like that stuff at all. So it's really good organic pesticide also. So you have lots of added benefits, and it's not going to burn your leaves when you use this as a foliar feed either, which is really great. So now we have our worm tea brewing. You're going to water your plants with this, and it's going to create a very alive, super good micronutrient, trace mineral, and microorganism environment for your roots to stay happy and your plant to stay really healthy. And it's really going to show a couple weeks down the road after you use this stuff.